This evening I want to talk about courage. Courage, what it means and how we need it. To get us thinking about courage, I want to begin with something from our history books. This November marks the 150th anniversary of the presidential election of 1864, an election held during the darkest days of the American Civil War, an election that President Lincoln expected to lose. It happened this way. The North was sick of the war. Lincoln's popularity was at an all-time low. The opposition party, the Democrats, produced an attractive and popular candidate. More to the point, they had a platform calling for an immediate end to the war. The stakes couldn't be higher. If Lincoln lost, slavery would remain intact, the Union would remain divided. If Lincoln lost, the United States would be no more. It is a wild story and true, and for me the wildest part is that President Lincoln didn't have to do it. If any year would be the year to suspend an election, it would be 1864. But Lincoln pressed on, knowing that our system of government, our freedoms, our peaceful transitions of power would be at risk forever. He had everything to lose. But Lincoln was firm. Elections would be held that November, even though it was election that he thought he couldn't win. The rest, of course, is history. In the fall of that year, key battles were won and opinions suddenly turned. And on the night of November the 8th, Lincoln huddled before a telegraph into the wee hours to learn that he would be the first president reelected in more than 30 years. By this election, Lincoln not only saved his job, he saved the nation. He saved all of us as much as any battle. I like to say that the stories we tell are stories that form us, and this too is a story of courage. And because of this courage, a president was elected, and because of this courage, the Constitution was preserved, and because of this courage, slavery was ended, and because of this courage, our American story keeps going. Because of this courage, we still vote in November, and because of this courage, we honor our soldiers, and because of this courage, we hold our leaders to a higher standard, and we do these things because of this courage. Courage. Even this gospel lesson that I just read to you is a lesson in courage. By the time we get to the 18th chapter of Matthew's gospel, which is what I just read, Jesus knows that his time is short. And it is here he begins telling his friends how they will have to live without him. Of course they will need courage. In just a few verses more, there will be heartache and there will be pain and arrest in the night. But they will need another kind of courage as well, the kind that we find in the very first sentence that I read to you. If another member of the church sins against you, go and point out the fault when the two of you are alone. Alone. This too is courage. For as much as they will need that danger kind of courage, Jesus wants them to have character courage as well. For Jesus and his friends, there will be no show trials or status earned based on the failure of others. For Jesus and his friends, to face someone alone is to face hurt with love, to treat others with dignity, and to treat them as family. This is unsung courage, thankless courage, quiet courage, but it is courage. Remember that if we are formed by the stories that we tell, none may be more important than this story of Jesus, and especially these days. We may never be called on to save our nation. We may never be called on to fight in battle. We may never be called on to place ourselves in harm's way. But we all face opportunities for character courage, and we face these every day. There has been some very good writing on character courage lately, and especially by David Brooks in the New York Times. Now, you may know that David Brooks is coming to St. Luke's in January, and for this reason, I'll copy a link to a recent article on courage in the dialogue. But in this recent article, Brooks maintains that there are many ways to act with character courage, even if we spend our days behind a desk or driving carpool or following a routine that poses any little of any real physical danger. No, like President Lincoln, character courage has to do with thinking well. I'll offer an example or two. Thinking well can involve holding your own against popular opinion. But these days, this courage may take more subtle forms. Courage in this case may look less like digging in and more like knowing where to bend. Courage may look less like defending our position and more like refusing to jump to conclusions. In this world of sound bites and half-truths, this courage may look like believing in something, but not just clinging against all evidence. Courage in this way may be more like listening. Courage might just be admitting that we are wrong. It has been said that a hallmark of wisdom in the 21st century will be our capacity to encompass ambiguity, to live in tension, to be patient. And this too takes courage. Still, I'm thinking there are other reasons that we all need courage, reasons beyond our surviving the evening news or even learning to understand our neighbors and our friends. And I'm thinking that we need courage because we really can't live without courage. Okay, I want to have some fun for just a moment. Okay, I have you hostage, so I want to do something with you. I want to test your memories. Okay, in the 1939 classic movie, The Wizard of Oz, right? The Cowardly Lion is a creature in search of courage. But you see, I already see you nodding because you already know the story already. And I know why you already know the story already, especially for all of us older people. Now I'm thinking of the post-Netflix generation. Those people can watch anything anytime that they want to. But I'm thinking of the people back in my day when there were only 3 network channels and a rooftop antenna that Daddy pointed towards Red Mountain, right? And The Wizard of Oz, right, like the 10 Commandments, came on once a year, which means that those of us of a certain age know this movie by heart, and those of us of a certain age are still scared of flying monkeys, right? Okay. Does anyone remember the Cowardly Lion's famous speech on courage? The outside the Emerald City speech, right? The broken pot worn like a crown speech. Okay, well, if you'll allow me for just a moment, I will test our memories, and I will need your help because in this speech, you get the part of Dorothy and her friends, okay? You'll know when to come in. All right, ready? All right. It gets better. Courage. What makes a king a slave? Courage. What makes a flag on a mast to wave? Courage. What makes an elephant charge his tusk in the misty mist and the dusky dusk? What makes the muskrat guard his musk? Courage. Okay, I'm almost finished, I promise. What makes the Sphinx the seventh wonder? Courage. What makes the dawn come up like thunder? Courage. What makes the Hottentot so hot? What puts the ape in apricot? What do they got that I ain't got? Courage. Right, and then the lion, thank you. They did not clap at the 8 o'clock service. Thank you. And then the lion begins to cry, right? And this makes sense too because we know that courage is a vital part of our own healthy self-esteem. The word courage comes from the word kur, which means heart. And if our stories form us from the outside, then our courage forms us from the inside. In our Old Testament lesson, the children of Israel are given instructions on how to leave Egypt forever. And this too takes courage. And it all began when Moses, their leader, found God on the mountain in the burning bush. And it's been wisely pointed out that when God chose to reveal himself, in this way, God would do so in a manner that forced Moses to stop and wait a while. Now think about it. How would Moses know the bush was not consumed unless he took a minute and watched, okay, and waited and paid attention? Remember, it takes courage to pay attention. And so the children of Israel set out on a journey that would take courage, both inside and out. And the same is true for us. Friends, we can live together. Friends, we can make sense of this world. Friends, we can forgive each other, and we can confront each other, and we can look out for each other, because we need each other. We need our family, and we need our courage. And it begins right here, and it begins right now, and it begins at this table. Courage. Courage. We can do this. It only takes courage. Amen. And now I ask that we stand together and proclaim our faith in the words of the Nicene Creed as it is found on